Will Liam live or die? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. It was a devastating blow to bold and beautiful fans to learn that Liam was being dealt the ultimate losing hand in soap opera, an inoperable brain tumor. He might be a waffle boy, but he's our waffle boy. And it's positively heartbreaking to think that he may have flicked his last flop. How will this sad story play out? Well, the pieces of that particular puzzle have begun to come together now that the real reasons behind the plot choice are coming to light, and they may reveal his fate. We're not the only ones in emotional distress over Liam's condition. Steffi was body slammed by the news, delivered via a text from her husband, just as she was witnessing a close moment between her ex and their daughter. Hope is set to hear the devastating truth next, and will be shaken to her core, and it will be Steffi, going against Liam's wishes, who breaks the news. Which brings us to the crux of one of the reasons Liam was handed a death sentence. Only something of this emotional enormity could bring Steffi and Hope back together again. While Liam was the cause for their rivalry, the flip side of the coin is that he is also their common denominator. Only these two women, who have children with their mutual ex-husband, will be able to understand what they're going through. Sharing their grief and their heartbreak for their daughters will override all of the animosity that came between them before and during the coup. But mending what appeared to be irreparably damaged fences between these two ladies may not be the only reason Bold and Beautiful doled out a death sentence to Liam. There's another undercurrent at play here that gives us a clue as to whether or not Liam will ultimately live or die. When Liam spoke to Hope, he urged her to reconcile with Carter. He later told Steffi that he had only done that because he knew he was dying. If that set off a little light bulb in your mind, you weren't alone. This told us that if Liam hadn't been dying, he might have tried for a reconciliation with Hope, rather than point her back in Walton's direction. Yep, our soapy senses were a tingle, which means Liam's inoperable brain tumor may not only be geared to resetting the damage done between Steffi and Hope over Thomas/Finn/the coup, but that it's also part of a plan to ultimately bring Liam and Hope back together. Of course, Liam will have to survive his dire prognosis somehow in order for that to happen. As it turns out, we already have a strong hunch that this mega twist will save his life, even though it will rock the entire canvas and Bold and Beautiful fans anew. In a twist so shocking that even longtime fans are still reeling, the Bold and the Beautiful has seemingly handed Liam Spencer a death sentence. And no, this isn't just metaphorical heartbreak. Behind the scenes, the wheels have been turning, secrets have been kept, and now the soap world is left asking, why would the writers set up Liam, a character deeply embedded in the show's core, for what looks like an exit drenched in tragedy? The signs were there. Subtle at first. A brooding Liam, increasingly isolated, emotionally distant, and grappling with the ghosts of his past. But now that the pieces are falling into place, a much bigger, far more deliberate picture is emerging. This wasn't just a character slowly unraveling. This was a carefully orchestrated descent, a scripted march toward doom. And the reason behind it? Oh, it's juicier than anyone imagined. The writer's revenge. When fan fatigue turns fatal, let's face it, Liam Spencer has been a central figure for over a decade. Love triangle after love triangle, marriage after annulment, baby swap after DNA reveal. He's been the moral fulcrum, the indecisive heartthrob who bounced between Hope and Steffi with such maddening regularity that even diehard fans started crying foul. So when whispers began swirling in the writer's room about shaking things up, Liam was the most tempting target, not because he deserved to die, but because his survival had become predictable. The creative team saw an opportunity to reignite the show's edge by doing the unthinkable, making Liam mortal in a very real and irreversible way. But here's where it gets twisted. Killing Liam isn't just a plot twist, it's a message. The writers are signaling that no character, no matter how legacy adjacent, is safe anymore. This death sentence is more than personal, it's symbolic. a declaration of war on complacency. The ripple effect. Breaking the love triangle formula. By eliminating Liam, the bold and the beautiful isn't just removing a character. They're detonating a structure that's held up half the show's romantic tension for years. The Hope-Steffi-Liam triangle has driven countless episodes, but lately, fans have been growing weary. The emotional whiplash between "I choose you" and "I made a mistake" began to feel like a broken record. Liam's downfall forces the writers to dig deeper. Hope must face a future that isn't defined by Liam's affection. Steffi must confront the parts of herself that were addicted to winning him back. And most importantly, the canvas is now wide open for new connections, uncharted relationships, and characters stepping into their own power without being tethered to Liam's wavering devotion. Removing Liam is like knocking out the foundation of an old house. It might feel like a collapse, but it paves the way for a complete redesign. Behind-the-scenes shakeup. A clash of creative vision. Sources close to production reveal there's been friction behind the scenes for months. A divide had formed in the writers' room between those who wanted to stick with the show's established formulas and those demanding change. The death sentence wasn't just a plot. It was a power move. The faction pushing for Liam's exit argued that the show needed a major loss to reestablish its reputation as a bold, unpredictable drama. With General Hospital and Days of Our Lives ramping up their own storylines, D and B needed something headline-worthy. Liam's demise? That's a front-page soap opera moment. And it doesn't hurt that Scott Clifton, the actor behind Liam, has been exploring other opportunities. While nothing has been confirmed, there are strong rumors that his contract was reaching a crossroads. Whether he was ready to walk or was pushed remains unclear. But what's evident is that his character's death fits a narrative plan larger than any one actor. Foreshadowing in disguise. The warning signs no one saw. Looking back, the writing was on the wall, but so cleverly hidden that even the most eagle-eyed viewers missed it. The episodes in the last few months have had an undercurrent of melancholy surrounding Liam. He seemed more disconnected, more fragile, and the scripts gave him quieter moments that felt unusually reflective. Scenes where Liam lingered over photos of his children. Conversations where he questioned his place in the world. Silent looks that held more weight than words. These weren't just acting choices. They were farewell notes written in slow motion. And then came the final straw. The accident. A dramatic twist that didn't just feel tragic. It felt fatal. A car crash that seemed too conveniently placed, too cinematically choreographed to be random. It was Liam's ultimate moment of vulnerability, and it's precisely the kind of incident the show uses to trigger irreversible change. A redemption arc, interrupted. Some fans hoped that Liam was on the cusp of redemption, that he finally reckoned with his past mistakes, take accountability, and grow into a stronger, more grounded version of himself. But this is soap opera, where redemption is rarely clean, and tragedy often strikes just when salvation is within reach. Liam's death sentence isn't just physical, it's emotional. It halts his redemption arc mid-stride, forcing other characters to grapple with what could have been. Hope, especially, is left to reconcile 1,000 unresolved feelings. Did she love him? Did she forgive him? Would she have chosen him again if given one more chance? These are the questions that now hang in the air, unanswered, aching, and they'll drive the emotional fallout for months to come. The real reason: shifting the spotlight. At its heart, Liam's exit is about legacy, but not his. It's about making room for a new generation. With RJ getting more screen time and new characters like Luna and Zend making waves, the show is actively shifting its focus. Steffi and Hope are being reshaped as leaders in their own right, not just love interests to a conflicted man. This isn't the end of the bold and the beautiful. It's a metamorphosis, one where the old guard makes way for new dynamics, fresh love stories, and storylines that don't rely on the same tug of war. Liam, for all of his years of emotional indecision and heartfelt sincerity, had become a symbol of the past. His removal is painful. but it's also purposeful. Fans react: mourning, fury, and conspiracy. Social media exploded the moment Liam's fate aired. Hashtags like hashtag Justice for Liam and hashtag BB did him dirty trended for hours. Fans flooded comment sections with grief, outrage, and, of course, wild conspiracy theories. Some believe he faked his death. Others are convinced Sheila had a hand in it. A few even think this is a coma dream that will be reversed by sweeps week. But one thing's for sure, people are watching. Love him or hate him, Liam's storyline has reignited the kind of passionate engagement that soaps thrive on. What comes next? A vacuum of power and emotion. Liam's departure creates a vortex. Hope, now rudderless, may spiral or rise stronger than ever. Steffi, haunted by the loss of the man who shaped so much of her life, might harden or soften in unexpected ways. With Liam gone, what once united and divided Hope and Steffi simultaneously is now erased. But instead of dissolving tension, his absence might supercharge it. Hope may try to carry on, but grief doesn't fade quietly. There's a storm brewing within her. A woman stripped of the man she once believed was her soulmate, now left holding the shattered pieces of unfinished love. And just beneath her mourning lies something more dangerous: resentment. Steffi, who had once made peace with Liam's final choice not being her, is now navigating a complicated emotional terrain. Publicly, she'll grieve. Privately, she might question everything. Did Liam ever really move on from her? Was Hope truly the love of his life? These unanswered questions won't die with him. They'll haunt every future interaction between the women. And with both women at the helm of their respective family empires, Forrester and Logan, the stage is set for a ruthless power struggle. One no longer about Liam's affection, but about legacy, ambition, and revenge. Their battle may just define the next era of B&B. Enter the wild cards: Wyatt, Thomas, and the opportunists. When a power vacuum appears, someone always moves in to fill it. With Liam out of the picture, Wyatt could step forward, not just as a grieving brother, but as someone trying to right Liam's wrongs. He may align with Hope, trying to protect her, or even guide her through the darkness. But where sympathy blooms, emotional connection can follow. And Hope is more vulnerable than ever. Then there's Thomas. He's kept his distance, played the role of the reformed man. But Liam's death could become the excuse he never needed. With no one to stand between him and Hope, Thomas may finally seize the opening he's been waiting for. But if he crosses into old patterns, it could cost him everything. Let's not forget Sheila, lurking in the shadows, or even Deacon, who always has one eye on opportunity. Liam's death has shattered the stability of nearly every major character's storyline, and the opportunists are circling. A plot in disguise? Is Liam really gone? Of course, this is the bold and the beautiful, and death isn't always the last page. Theories continue to fly, some more convincing than others. What if Liam didn't die but went into hiding? What if his accident was staged to protect someone, or himself? What if the Forresters orchestrated the whole thing to cover up a scandal that would have rocked the fashion world to its core? The writers know that killing off a legacy character isn't just dramatic, it's dangerous. They risk alienating loyal fans. That's why some believe this isn't a permanent death at all, but the beginning of a long con. Imagine the reveal. Months from now, a disheveled Liam reappears, burdened by secrets and traumas, blowing the lid off every lie that's kept the Forrester and Logan empires stable. But if that's the case, his return wouldn't be met with open arms. He'd be seen as a ghost, a betrayer, a man who let his loved ones mourn him while he lived in silence. The redemption arc would be even more intense, and the fallout even more nuclear. Brooke and Ridge, the elders react. Brooke Logan, a mother scorned by fate too many times, may see Liam's death as yet another in a long line of family tragedies. But she won't just weep, she'll retaliate. If she believes Steffi or the Forresters played any role, intentional or not, Brooke may go scorched earth. Ridge, meanwhile, might see Liam's absence as a sign that the Foresters need to close ranks, especially with RJ emerging as the next Forester golden boy. Ridge may try to refocus family loyalty inward. He could push for RJ to step into a bigger leadership role, pulling Hope closer to the family fold, whether she likes it or not. Expect the generational divide to widen. Brooke versus Ridge. Hope versus Steffi. Logan versus Forrester. Liam's death has set the chessboard for a full-scale family war. The children left behind, Kelly and Beth. Perhaps the most devastating fallout lies with the children. Kelly and Beth, both too young to understand the magnitude of what's happened, will grow up under the shadow of a father's disappearance or death. But the pain doesn't just live in their hearts. It becomes part of the show's legacy. As the girls grow, this trauma will shape them. They'll ask questions. They'll carry emotional scars. And eventually, they'll become the new protagonists, driven by their own quest for truth, justice, and identity. Imagine a teenage Beth, driven to find out what really happened to her father. Or a grown-up Kelly, caught between her mother's Forester pride and the memory of a Spencer father she never truly knew. The show is already laying the groundwork for generational storytelling, and Liam's death may be the spark that ignites their futures. Even in death, or presumed death, Liam Spencer continues to dominate the narrative. His legacy is woven into the very fabric of the bold and the beautiful. He wasn't just a romantic lead. He was the connective tissue that tied together the Foresters, the Logans, and the Spencers. And now that thread has been cut. Yet rather than fading into obscurity, Liam's name will echo through every room, every conversation, every tear-streaked monologue. Hope's eyes will flicker toward the stairs, expecting him. Steffi will pause in the middle of a boardroom power play, haunted by the what-ifs. Even Bill Spencer, for all his bravado and bravura, will be brought to his knees by the loss of a son he never quite managed to understand or guide. Liam becomes the ghost in the room. Not literally, at least not yet, but emotionally. Every character will be forced to re-examine their own truths through the lens of his departure. The shockwave through Spencer Publications. Bill Spencer built an empire, but Liam was always the moral compass Bill needed, even when he didn't know it. Now, with Liam out of the equation, that compass is gone, and Bill may lose himself in the abyss. Expect an unhinged, more volatile version of Dollar Bill to resurface. A man determined to find answers, or at least vengeance. Spencer Publications could quickly turn into a war zone, one where business strategy is replaced by personal vendettas. Bill might even turn against allies, Ridge, Deacon, even Wyatt. Because when a man like Bill feels powerless, he doesn't grieve, he lashes out. And with no Liam to temper him, there's no telling how far he'll go. A journal, a clue, a return. Not all who die in soap stay dead. And if the writers are truly playing the long game, a classic soap trope might be in play, the resurrection arc. Imagine this. Months down the line, Hope discovers Liam's old journal, tucked in the bottom of a drawer, filled with cryptic entries, mentions of threats, paranoia, shadows following him, unfinished business. Perhaps someone was after him, and the car crash wasn't an accident at all. The journal becomes a breadcrumb trail. Hope, now consumed with grief and doubt, follows it obsessively, convinced her husband's death wasn't what it seemed. She alienates those around her, becomes reckless. But then, just when the audience is certain it's grief driving her mad, she's proven right. Because Liam is alive, but he's not the same. If he lives, a darker Liam. A return from the dead changes people. If Liam survives and resurfaces, he won't come back as the same tortured romantic. He'll be hardened, haunted, maybe even dangerous. He might return under a false name, working from the shadows to take down those who tried to end him, or those who exploited his death. He might have lost his trust in Hope, in Steffi, even in Bill. The kind, sensitive Liam could be gone, replaced by a calculated, emotionally scarred man. A Liam who doesn't care about winning hearts anymore, only justice or revenge. This isn't just character growth, it's character rebirth. If he's gone for good, Hope's slow descent or rise. On the other hand, if Liam truly is gone, Hope's future hinges on one pivotal question. Will she fall apart or rise anew? Her love life has always been defined by Liam. Even when she tried to move on, he lingered. Emotionally, physically, symbolically. Without him, she faces the unknown. And that can either destroy her or remake her. We could see a version of Hope who becomes fiercely independent, a powerhouse businesswoman who channels grief into greatness. Or, more tantalizingly, the opposite. A fractured, erratic Hope whose grip on reality begins to slip. She could develop a deep mistrust of those around her, push away Brooke, spiral with guilt, form unhealthy attachments, maybe even find herself drawn to someone wildly unexpected, someone like Thomas again, or even someone darker like Deacon. Either way, her evolution becomes central to the show's next act. Sheila senses opportunity. Where there is tragedy, Sheila Carter smells opportunity, and Liam's death provides fertile ground for chaos. Whether she was involved or not, Sheila might use his death to manipulate those closest to the pain. She could offer Hope false comfort, whisper lies into Steffi's ear, exploit Bill's emotional spiral. And if she was involved, directly or indirectly, her secrets are now at risk. That makes her even more dangerous, especially if she begins eliminating people who get too close to the truth. Liam's death may have started as one tragedy, but Sheila could turn it into a domino line of destruction. The return of old flames and new faces. Liam's absence also opens the door for returning characters to re-emerge and new ones to rise. Ivy, Quinn, or even Caroline's memory might be revisited. Perhaps a new character claims to know what really happened in the crash. Or a mysterious figure shows up in Lay with a deep, unexplained connection to Liam.